Hi everyone, Joe here. Hope we're all doing well. Earlier on today I was watching a Neville Goddard recording and it was labelled The Secret of Imagining. For those of you that haven't seen it, I'll put the link down below. And as I was watching this, there was some quotes in there I found quite fascinating, but at the same time I wanted to be able to dissect these quotes for those of you who may not understand a lot of what Neville speaks about, and also you may find some of his language quite complex. So I thought I would listen to this. I've got some notes here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dissect these to make them a little bit easier to understand and try and put these into practical examples. So we'll just walk through them. As I said, I'll put the link down below. I think it's a fantastic recording. I've learnt a lot from it from listening to it. I've listened to it about 10 times today already. But I wanted to pass on some of the knowledge that I've gathered from this, and hopefully it could be quite helpful to everyone who's on their journey trying to manifest a job, trying to manifest money, trying to manifest a relationship. And I think this recording itself could be really helpful to you on your path. So we'll get started straight away. The first quote that I've got here is, "When man solves the mystery of imagining, he will have discovered the secret of causation, and that is that imagining creates reality." So what's meant by that? Well, what I took from that is that when we discover that everything we imagine, we create. As I've said before, it's a focus-based universe. So what we imagine on a day-to-day basis, we tend to create. So for example, we imagine arguments with loved ones, we imagine that our boss is being unfair to us, we imagine that our person that we're trying to manifest is at a distance. If we imagine that on a day-to-day basis, we don't seem to realise that that is ultimately our reality. So what we need to do is we become completely aware of what we are imagining on a day-to-day basis. That ultimately is the secret of causation, as Neville says. The secret of causation is that imagining creates reality. So we need to really concentrate on what we're imagining on a day-to-day basis. Following on from that, acting at high tension, an imaginal act is an immediate objective fact. Keyed low, an imaginal act is realised in a time process. This is quite possibly the best example for everyone who's still in quite a low negative energy. If we are focused on our desire, but we are focused on it from a negative point of view, and we feel that with a lot of negative energy and a lot of lack, a lot of loneliness, a lot of hurt, a lot of anger, that is ultimately what's going to manifest instantly. Okay, it will take time to build up the self-love. As that happens, ultimately our imaginal acts at that point are keyed low. We don't have a lot of positive, loving energy to put towards that imaginal act. So a lot of people struggle when they try to imagine but they're not feeling great, and they don't feel that love for themselves, or they don't feel that love for what they are trying to imagine. Therefore that is keyed low, which ultimately creates more time. It creates more of a time gap between the imaginal act itself and what we are trying to manifest. Okay, so that's pretty much what he's trying to explain there. Ultimately what we find is when we're really feeling strongly that that person's being unloving to us, when that person isn't treating us right, or if we really feel strongly that maybe the job we're trying to manifest is completely out of our reach, that is immediately it's an objective fact, because we feel it so strong, it feels so real to us, therefore it's an immediate objective fact. It takes time to slowly build and slowly gather the reality of what we are trying to manifest. So I know a lot of people can be quite impatient when trying to manifest. I know myself, I've had that issue several times, and it's quite common. It's quite a common handbrake that we like to call it, but it's important just to maintain faith and actually maintain a good feeling, especially when we're trying to imagine. I wouldn't recommend trying to imagine when we're feeling in a low vibrational state or in a low energy. I really wouldn't recommend trying to imagine at that point. Okay, so following on from that, he says, to attempt to change circumstances before we change our imaginal activity is to struggle against the very nature of things. As I've just said, it's really important that we change our internal feelings and our internal belief systems and our internal imagining before we try and change anything on the outside. To try and shift anything in the physical reality is impossible until we change internally. Okay, so we can't expect our specific person / ex, whoever it may be, to love us when we don't feel love for them or indeed for ourselves. It's impossible. We just can't change that until we feel good about ourselves initially, until we feel that self-love, until we feel just exactly what love is. We can't expect that person to love us if we don't feel it for themselves. We can't expect to feel important in a job, in a career. We can't expect anyone to give that to us. We can't expect the perfect job if we don't feel worthy to get that job. We can't expect wealth if we are constantly imagining poverty. It just can't happen. It just goes against everything that we're trying to do here. Okay, so it's important that every change that happens on the outside, all that change is initially internal. Okay, so the last quote I've got from this, and it was probably the one that really stood out for me halfway through the recording. It was absolutely fascinating, and he says, "We cannot commit ourselves to what we don't love. So the secret of self-commission is faith plus love." Okay, so Neville talks a lot about we must give ourselves up to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Again, I agree with that. But that is impossible when we don't have the love itself. Okay, so everyone thinks that they can just imagine, and I'll just imagine, I'll imagine, and I'll get what I want. If you don't feel love for that state, if you don't feel love for that imaginal fact, if you don't immerse yourself in that imaginal scene, if you don't put yourself in that place and feel everything you would feel were you in that state, if you don't get the feelings associated with that, then you cannot commit yourself to it. It's impossible, because you would only commit yourself to a state that you love. So if you strongly and imagine wholeheartedly that you're in the job of your dreams, that you're earning more money than you want, that you know what to do with, if you really feel what that would feel like and really feel it with love and truth, then that makes it much easier to commit to that state, because that automatically would give you faith that it will become a reality. So self-commission is all about the faith and the love, okay? But the faith aspect of it is very difficult to bring into your consciousness when you don't feel love, okay? It's really hard to have faith in something that you don't hold love for, okay? So it's really important, again, I stress it all the time, self-love. Self-love, self-love, self-love. This is the most important part of this, okay? Really feel that love for yourself, for your person, for everything. Feel that love, because that will ultimately give you faith in the process, and it will give you faith that it will become a reality. And this is something Neville says, it will give you the faith that it will become a reality, and it will, because, as he said, imagining creates reality. So if we have that faith that it is an objective fact, and we feel that with such love and such conviction, it will become an objective fact, because it has to, because imagining creates reality, okay? The majority of people, we live in such an unconscious world where we bow to everything that's happening around about us, but we don't realise that maybe a week, 2 weeks, a month before it happened, we imagined it was going to happen, and we felt that with such truth that when it did happen, we thought to ourselves, oh, how did that happen? I knew that, or I knew that was going to happen. Of course you did, because you imagined it. It works the other way as well. We need to imagine actively what we want, and on such a strong level, and such a strong energetic feeling of love. We need to get to that point, and at that point we will automatically get the faith that it has to come true, because we need to feel it naturally. We need to be it. We really just need to be this loving energy, okay? So I hope this has been beneficial. As I said, I'll put the link down below. For me, this was one of the best recordings that I've listened to of Neville's, and I've listened to a lot of them. I'm also, I'd quite like to point in, I've been listening to The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Joe Murphy. It's an incredible audiobook. I've not got the physical copy yet, but what I've listened to so far, the audiobook, is fantastic, and it's all about imagining, and it's also about how your subconscious mind and how crucial that aspect is. in creating your reality. It's something I'm going to do a video on in future, so keep an eye out for that one. But yeah, so I'll put a link down below for the Neville Goddard recording. Any questions, the email will be down below as well. Any coaching, anything that anyone would like to ask me, you can comment on the video below. As I said, my email is there. It's wide open to those who want to contact me, looking for any support. As I says, I do offer coaching as well. So yeah, feel free to get in touch, and I hope this video has been really good for you on your path. And happy manifesting. Take care.